All right, so the hot tag this week is AEW Collision from 11/9/24. Lots of good. Again, I think that Collision tends to be the more wrestling focused show on AEW as opposed to Dynamite, which is the more story driven one. Not that there isn't both on both shows, but that tends to be how Collision is booked. That is more my thing. I love watching wrestling for the art of it as well as for the stories of it. This one got a little bit of both though. Top Flight versus the Outrunners was real good. Um, Top
It
Flight is
was.
now showing dissension even between the brothers now, and not just between them and Leo or Action Andretti. At one point, Layla Gray was on the outside, and Truth, or I think it was Turbo Floyd or Truth Magna. One of the, I think it was Truth Magna, and he almost ran into her on the outside after being dumped to the outside. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whew, whew, boy, sorry about that," but he was still within very close proximity to her, and Darius went for the tope anyway,
Hmm.
regardless of Layla Gray's safety. And Layla and Dante got real mad about it, rightfully so. And Dante was kind of in his face about it. There's only one moment in the match, really. And it was kind of early on. It was probably in like the end of the first third of the match, but it, important stuff. This top flight kind of falling to infighting has been going on for months now, but this is the first time that we've seen the two brothers actually butt heads.
Hmm.
Important story beats. But the Outrunners were great. They prove that in this company full of freak athletes doing insane spots and dives and weapon shots and everything, that sometimes the strength of your basics mixed with fantastic character work can and will get you over. Like, you don't necessarily need to do all the crazy insane stuff if your character work and your basics are on point. Like,
Yeah.
if you can connect with an audience in a myriad of different ways, and these guys have found a way to connect with the audience based on their personalities more than anything else, and that's great because that adds diversity to your locker room. You know, you can,
Yeah.
the more people you can connect with more ways, the more opportunities you have to expand your audience. The
Amen.
Outrunners get the win with the total recall on Dante, and they're going to go face Private Party at Full Gear. So we get the Outrunners on pay per view. Yeah, baby.
Oh, hell
Uh,
yes. So excited.
Next, yeah. Next thing I wanted to talk about was Roderick Strong in his second match to try and get to get through to get to MJF against the Beast Mortos. I mean, if you've been following us, you know that we're both big fans of Mortos.
Oh, we love Beast Mordos.
I mean, it's very, he shouldn't have gotten the win here. As much as I love Mortos, it doesn't serve the story for Mortos to win here. So him losing is not that big a deal. The match itself was great though, because even though the dude has this mask that covers his entire face, he still was able to get over the fact that he was very conflicted facing Roddy in the first place, because Roddy and the Undisputed Kingdom have been really, really good to Mortos over the past couple of months.
Right? They've been
And
trying to be his buddies.
yeah, they really like him. They want to hang around with him, pal around with him. Uh, so far as I know, he's still on retainer as Matt Taven's lawyer. Uh, but you know, he showed several times throughout this that you know, he wanted to compete and he wanted to impress his new LFI buddies. It, and Roddy did a great job putting over all of Mortos' offense. In fact, Roddy was on the defense for the vast majority of this match. He sold and bumped like the champ that he is. In the end, though, kind of fluky, but Roddy does pick up the win. I think what they're trying to do, I I genuinely feel, and if it was planned and I'm a mark, you know, that's fine. I'm okay with
Hmm.
it. But I genuinely do feel like that finish last week against Shane Taylor was a complete fluke, and that he accidentally, legitimately knocked out Shane Taylor with that high knee
Hmm.
because of how weird that pin was. And this he won with the high knee again, but there was no flukiness to it. So I think that they're taking that and they're taking the real situation and utilizing that as a new alternate finish for him. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it reminds me of a long time ago. I want to say 2003 or four, when Evolution was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and Batista accidentally, legitimately knocked out Chris Jericho, and I think gave him a concussion from a clothesline. And they worked that into the story. So for the next like month or so, he was finishing people with a clothesline because
Yeah.
it was proven, hey, he actually legitimately knocked somebody out with it. This is a legit finish, even though it's just a clothesline. When that guy throws it, it can knock your head off. I think
Yeah.
they're going for a similar thing here. It fell into their lap and they're using it. Nothing wrong with that. And that's an easy enough move to take. And I mean, all you have to do is, not get hit.
Yeah.
You know when it's coming, you sell it, nobody gets hurt. like
Mhm.
it's and because somebody may have accidentally got knocked out of it, it's got legitimacy. I'm all for that. All for that. But yeah, and I also like the fact that because of the nature of that move, that it's you can end a match with it unpredictably. Like I
Mhm.
remember back in like 1996 or so when DDP and WCW was really, really ramping up. A lot of the way that he got over was he would take a drubbing for like the first 5 minutes of a match, hit the diamond cutter, and it was over. And you knew it was over. And he could hit it
Mhm.
from any angle at any time. You didn't know when it was coming, but you knew he hit that diamond cutter and it was over, no matter how much of a butt kicking he took in the lead up to that moment. I could see the unpredictability of that if they really worked into it, playing in a similar way with Roddy here. I would lean into it. Honestly, if I were Tony Khan, I would lean into that storytelling wise.
Yeah.
But I'm not Tony Khan. As much as I'd like to be on the creative team because I think that would just be rad, I'm not. So, hey, if anybody in AEW who is our new blue sky friend, is listening to this, maybe run that up the flagpole, huh? I think
Mhm.
I'd like to see that. I can't be alone in that. We got to talk about Nick Wayne and AR Fox.
Oh.
Holy cow! I mean, Nick AR Fox goes to the ring, and Nick Wayne shows up on the big screen, and he takes a page out of his father Christian Cage's playbook, and says, "Hey, you know what I just found out? Today is the anniversary of the death of your dad." We all know that's a Christian Cage thing. He likes his dead
Mhm.
dads. Um, and really rubbing it in and putting some heat on there. And Fox, before Nick Wayne even gets to the ring, the camera's following him all throughout his entrance too, which I kind of dug. AR Fox comes cascading over the top rope to attack him before the bell rings and beats the crap out of him for a good 2 minutes or so before he rolls him into the ring. This is great stuff. I've seen AR Fox, because he would go up and down the East Coast, the Indies. I've seen him for years. I think the first time I might have seen him was maybe 2013, 2014, something like that, for 2CW, which was an indie around here for a long time. It was the premier indie promotion in our area for a long time until Excite Wrestling took over. And like the dude was always on the show. He always impressed. I've been a huge fan of his, and I was elated when he got signed to AEW. I'm a big Fox fan. AR Fox can, give him all the flowers. He, had some really cool, innovative offense, like he always does. He did like this really cool, like short cutter where like Nick
Oh
Wayne was
yeah.
on his knees and it just like bam, like just hit
Yeah.
him with a cutter. Like I've never seen anybody actually do that. So he's still breaking out new stuff, and he's like a 15, 18-year veteran at this point or something like that. It's really cool to see. And Nick Wayne, I can't say enough about Nick Wayne. At 19, there's no way that he should be as good as he is. He is every single bit the prodigy they promote him as.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Big fan. Like, just the way he carries himself is just years beyond his experience level. Like, I mean, granted, he started as a teenager with his dad, but even considering that, man, he's learned so much and he has improved so much, and he was good to begin with. So,
Hmm.
like, I mean, he's the next 5 years of AEW would not surprise me if he's a former world champion and he sticks with the company because
Yeah.
he's his ceiling is very high. It's very high. Um, the Fox gets some momentum towards the end, but Kip Sabian gets on the apron to distract Fox just enough for Nick Wayne to recover in time to move out of the way of the 450 splash that AR had coming for him while the ref was busy with Mother Wayne. And then Nick Wayne hits his ludicrous new finisher, a double underhook Canadian destroyer. What
Ridiculous.
in heaven's name? Oh my good lord. Um, I don't know how AR Fox wasn't dead right there. Looks amazing. But that, yeah, afterwards, the patriarchy, uh, they get they help seal Nick Wayne's revenge. They took out this photo, this printed photo of a young AR Fox with his sadly passed away father, and they staple it to his head with staple gun.
That is
Like,
so gnarly.
I was like this was for a very low card program. This had a ton of good stuff and a ton of heat. Like, it
Hmm.
was real good. I do think though, AR Fox was part of that home invasion thing, which is why Nick Wayne was so upset and he was finally getting his revenge. But he didn't set it up. Are we really gonna get Nick Wayne versus Swerve Strickland down the line? Like, they are at very different ends uh, uh, of the hierarchy in AEW at the moment. Um, I would
I
love
don't.
to see the match because the match would be good, but I do not see Nick Wayne having any chance to win
No, not at
given his
all.
position, unless
Not
this
at
happens
all.
3 years down the line after a lot of coaching and a lot of continuous improvement, and it being Swerve's turn to put somebody else over. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see Nick Wayne winning this situation,
it's
but
not out of
maybe.
character for AEW to bring up stuff that happened 3 or 4 years ago.
Hmm.
It's kind of nice actually that they don't treat us like we're stupid, and they I mean, sometimes we need some reminders, but that they dip into their continuity, and everything is supposed to gel, and everything that happened is supposed to have happened.
Hmm.
It's not forgotten and swept under the rug. It's not, oh, they'll never remember that. No, they reward you. They reward you for remembering, for being a nerd and remembering these tiny little bits of things that happened years ago. Like, if you are one of those very attentive watchers and super fans, you get so much value out of stuff like this, little stuff like this. So, I mean, I can't see that match happening. Even though he is on what appears to be a revenge kick, I can't see that happening now and it working out for him.
No.
But I could see it down the line. Just say, yeah, my father finally said I was ready, so we're doing this, that kind of thing.
I mean, I could see them baptizing him by fire by throwing him in there with Strickland right now, but the level of violence that Strickland is on right now would result in a battered and broken Nick Wayne, which maybe that's what we're going for.
I
I mean,
mean,
who knows?
there's always the chance that he could get a cheap win with help from the Hurt Business, I suppose,
Yeah,
or
fair.
Hurt Syndicate
Hurt
rather, but
Syndicate, yeah.
Hurt Syndicate.
Look at
Um,
us trademarking
again, you know,
it.
right? Again, the women's division was kind of let down this week. Like, this card only had one women's match, and this time it was a Chris Statlander squash match.
Hmm.
I love Chris, I do, and she deserved better than this. I mean, and yes, it had the continued angle with Mercedes coming out and tapping her out, making her tap out. So, like, that's on the table. Visually, there's danger there. I understand what they were going for, but like this whole segment lasted maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's even a bigger example of what I was talking about earlier, really. That said, that said, we in on the plus side for the women's division, we got that awesome Julia Hart return
Oh
video.
yeah, that vignette was crazy, man.
Fantastic.
Oh, it was
Uh, if you
rad.
haven't if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's basically Julia Hart is in her she's on a football field back in her cheerleader's outfit, like she was when she first came to AEW, and what is implied because her face is shrouded, implied to be her dark side, her House of Black persona, is in the bleachers, making her real nervous until such time as uh, her dark side shoots an arrow through Julia Hart's heart. It was very on point.
Yeah.
Very, and then the ending shot is an overhead shot of Julia in having gotten shot with the arrow, uh, splice cut with uh, I think from a different video from last year of Julia as dark Julia Hart, House of Black Julia Hart, in like a little druid circle or whatever, and then all of a sudden she like wakes up from a dream, like she's in bed and like it's like a second and a half, and she's just like waking up from a dream, and then it cuts it off, and then it goes right to an Outrunners '80s segment. But you're talking about mood whiplash, but
Oh
taken
yeah.
in a vacuum. Oh, I mean that was fantastic.
Brilliant.
I mean some people um, are better served for surprise returns, like what happened with Powerhouse Hobbs this week. Better served, I think, to have the surprise because it took me. I mean, it immediately invested me. But
Hmm.
these kinds of things, Julia Hart, best served by having return vignettes like this
Hmm.
because she is such a character, and she had been so over before her injury, and she had to she was forced to drop the TBS title to Willow,
Yeah.
um, when they could have probably drawn that out a little bit more and just honestly just probably have Mercedes just beat her for it. But I mean, injuries happen, man. I am
Hmm.
really excited for Julia Hart though, because her growth has been great to watch.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for her to come back. And then to end the show, the trios title: Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac faced off against the conglomeration: Kyle O'Reilly and oh gosh, which one was it? It was Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and uh, Ishii.
Hmm.
Uh, Getting their money's worth out of booking Ishii stateside. It's like use him as often as you can while he's here. I get it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, good stuff. Classic trio stuff here. Like, say what you want about the booking, and then the stories of the division, the matches in the division since the introduction of the trios titles have always delivered. Always been great
Yeah.
fun. Back and forth stuff here for a while until the commercial break, and then O'Reilly gets just the snot kicked out of him for a while. Eventually, and he does a great job selling. Eventually, there's a spot where everybody hits their big moves on each other. Everyone's down, like everybody's down, and the referee is counting them out. And then Mox's music hits, and he and Shafir come from out of there, and the ref stops counting. Now, normally, I would say, why the heck would you stop counting? The match is still in progress. But John Moxley's a big, scary man who claims everybody in AEW works for him under the threat of violence. So I don't really blame the referee for stopping the count. I think it really, honestly, in this particular case, it makes sense. Um, Mox looks to get involved. He's on the far side of the ring, but then Pixie's hit. Where's my mind? And Orange Cassidy comes out, and so they have this great moment where they're on opposite sides of the ring outside, and there's all these down guys in the middle, but they're having a Mexican standoff. It was a great visual.
Hmm.
Um, The end came when O'Reilly had Yuta in an ankle lock for a long, long time. And they do a couple of spots where, okay, Pac is gonna come in, and nope, he's not gonna break this up. He's gonna get taken out by Ishii, or I'm not sure who took out who, but as each member of the Death Riders came in, it they were taken out, and it looked like O'Reilly really could have made you the tap, but the referee got distracted long enough for Shafir to hit O'Reilly in the ribs with the briefcase that is implied to hold the world title belts.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Yuta hit the Busaiku knee, and that was it. Afterwards, Cassidy orange punched Yuta as he stood in his way. Yuta was alone in the ring with Cassidy, and Yuta was kind of basically blocking the rest of the Death Riders who were on the outside of the ring. He was like the guy and starts, but he just eats an orange punch, and then Cassidy just goes on and attacks, and all hell breaks loose. And it ended the right way because even though the titles, the championship didn't change hands, the baby faces finally in this story ended the show standing tall
Mm-hmm.
at the end. They needed that at this point because
Yeah.
it was getting oppressive. The amount, like, you need at this point in this long story that's been playing out over a couple of months now, really, you
Mm-hmm.
needed to have that hope. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Cassie looks like he has maybe a shot. He doesn't. Spoilers, he doesn't. He's Mox isn't going to drop to that title to anybody but Darby Allen. Probably not until April. But they're doing their best to finally give the fans some hope and somebody to believe in and cheer for, instead of just ramming down this invader force basically down their throats. They're unstoppable. Nobody can face them. Blah blah blah. You can only do that so much before the fans tune out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they pulled the trigger at the exact right time. So that was great, and that was the show. Collision. Uh, I mean, Collision's a great show generally. Like, I wish that they would, again, beating that drum. I wish that they would have been able to give more to Statlander, or even if that match was going to be a squash, cut some time from another match and have another women's squash. Even if it was just another women's squash, at least that would be four women getting paid instead of two.
Yeah.
Four women getting exposure on TV instead of two. So, well, three because Monet got in there too, but
Mm-hmm.
still.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Collision, and that's the hot tag.